You've mentioned in passing the fact that you receive European Union funding. Have you had any assurances from the UK government about the long-term position as regards that? Because there is EU funding not just for you, but also Anguilla as another overseas territory that I'm aware of, and Pitcairn also get the European Development Fund for funding. Have you had any assurances about the long term?
That is a very worrying factor for St Helena, because we haven't had any assurance that this funding or similar type of funding will be made available. Right. Our infrastructure on the island in St Helena is in critical condition. We have over the years relied heavily on EDF funding to fund major infrastructure requirements, and with the loss of that EDF funding at the end of the EDF 11, we have the funding secured, I understand, for the fibre optic cable, which will bring about great improvements, huge improvements. But beyond that, there hasn't been any reassurance that this funding or similar type of funding will replace to develop our economy.
Thank you. Mr. Varela, you're
can I state on that subject as well? We're assured funding till, I think, by the UK government until 2020. After that, that's a big question. Will the UK cover us as EDF did? But at the moment, it's until 2020. Okay. We've been reassured. Thank you.
Mr. James.
Thank you. We are very concerned about that for two reasons. One is, despite repeatedly asking, and we have been given no assurance, in fact no word at all. The Brexit ministers wrote saying, oh, well, we'll consider that after we leave the EU, and for us that's not really acceptable, because we don't know where we will get our funding from in the future. The other thing that concerns us, just as importantly, is how this funding would be dispersed. The EU have an equitable prorated distribution under EDF, and from the little bit we've heard, DFID intend to have perhaps a bidding process of some kind. Now that, if is the case, will marginalise smaller, less capable territories like ourselves, and we would like assurances that funds will be distributed on an equitable prorated basis in the same way as they are under EDF.
Thank you.
We are currently benefiting from the EDF 11. We've had benefit from 9 and 10 towards our business transformation, infrastructural projects, and now we have support for our education sector.
While we have shared similar concerns with the other territories mentioned, our main concern is with the way in which aid has been delivered over the past 23 years to Montserrat. The UK government has said that, acting in accordance with Article 73 of the UN Charter, the UK has an international and legal binding responsibility to meet the urgent, basic as well as development needs of its British overseas territories. To meet this legal responsibility, the British government's own policies state that Montserrat is eligible for overseas development aid, and as a British overseas territory has first call on Her Majesty's $12 billion aid budget. I have therefore been puzzled by the dealings of the British government with Montserratians throughout this volcanic crisis and beyond. Why at the beginning of the crisis did the British government consistently withhold from Montserratians critical scientific information on volcanic activity and adequate aid for basic necessities like food and decent shelter? Some 20 years ago, Her Majesty's coroner, in his comments regarding the death of 18 persons killed by the volcano, described Her Majesty's government's delivery of aid to Montserrat as unimaginative, grudging and tardy. Why is this still painfully relevant? Why has the British government, by its inadequate and often untimely delivery of aid, exposed itself to accusations of having coerced or forced Montserratians to leave the island, thus sadly accused of committing a crime against humanity? Why has Her Majesty's government, intentionally or not, consistently delayed providing for both basic and development needs, stunting our economy, compelling our youth to leave, and exiles to stay away? thousands in Britain in involuntary exile included? Why is it still said that there is insufficient funds for key infrastructure when, as I said before, Montserrat has first call on a $12 billion budget, which would help free Montserrat from a 23-year-old dependency on the British taxpayer of 60% of its recurrent budget? Why is our hospital, 2 decades on, still housed in an aging school building? Why has there not been a housing program funded by DFID in the last 16 years?